If you enjoy Astronomy FM radio, please let us know with a small donation. We do rely on your support, and it's true. Every little bit counts.
AFM.
Gentlemen, we have a serious problem. The Limeys are taking over Astronomy.fm.
Welcome to Under British Skies. News, views and interviews from the UK world of astronomy with Richie Jarvis, Nick Howes, Ian Melville, Paul Harper, Nick Evitts, Sam Hawkins and Jenny Winder. The show is engineered by Michael Forster and produced by the team. Previous episodes of Under British Skies are available to download from iTunes. You can contact the team on Twitter at Under British Sky or email us at ubs@astronomy.fm.
Good evening and welcome to this month's edition of Under British Skies, and it's actually our third birthday. It's our 31st episode, and this evening we're going to be talking about AstroFest and Asteroids. With me I have Paul Harper as usual, and Nick Evitts is struggling to get his internet connection, his wet bit of string connected up again. So let's introduce the team. So my name's Richie Jarvis. I'm a astrophotographer based in the southeast of England, over in East Sussex, and I take pictures of the sky. Paul.
Hi, my name's Paul Harper, and I'm a member of the Croydon Astronomical Society, and I'm an amateur observational astronomer, and I don't take pictures of the sky that often.
But you have started, though, haven't you, Paul?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Both robotically and non-robotically. It's a great sideline, I think, for me. I'm gradually going towards the dark side. Dark side.
Right, so we were going to be talking about one particular asteroid, but now we've got two to talk about. So should we start on the Russian meteorite first? The Chelyabinsk.
Yes,
is that how we're saying it?
Yeah. Chablinsky.
Yeah, I'm sure that'll roll off the tongue probably by about the end of the year. So
probably yes.
Oh, is Nick back with us again?
Yeah, I made it back. That was
done.
weird.
Do you want to introduce yourself to everybody, Nick?
Good evening. My name is Nick Evitts, and I'm a member of the Under British Sky. I nearly said the Sky at Night. Don't ask me why.
You're wishful thinking.
Oh dear, yes.
Perhaps a repeat of the last 3 years ago.
Yes.
Anyway, so we were talking about the Chelyabinsk meteorite, so 55 foot wide. Now, here's one thing I don't get. Maybe you guys have got more information about this, but NASA are now saying it's 10,000 tons. The original estimate I saw from the Russians was 10 tons. So how come it grew quite as so much in a couple of days?
I think it's just people trying initially to play down the scare factor. If you say 10 tons, then people aren't going to worry. You say higher estimates, then you're going to have Corporal Jones going around, don't panic. Let's face it, when you tell someone there's 100 tons or 1,000 tons of material just rain down on the Earth, well, it's exactly what's going to happen, isn't it? You're going to have panic. And I think a lot of that originally was just to head it off.
Yeah. Well, I mean, as far as I know, nobody's died yet, but 1,200 people injured, mostly minor glass injuries. But I mean, hell of a thing, and of course, you suddenly realised when this happened. I don't know whether you've had a look around, guys, but the amount of dashboard cameras there are in Russia. Apparently, it's all down to the fact that that nobody trusts anybody else. So if there's any accident or something, they've all got these dashboard cameras, and it just so happened that they were driving along as this meteor came down. But they reckon it was 30 times more powerful than Hiroshima, 500 kiloton blast. It came in at 44,000 miles an hour and broke up 15 miles above the surface. And then it actually took the shockwave 15 minutes to actually get to Chelyabinsk as well. I mean, just absolutely nuts.
I mean, think of the speed it was going at. 44,000 odd miles per hour. Miles per hour. I mean, that's quite fast.
Very fast indeed. But
I've also heard people thinking it may be from the maybe a stray one from the Alpha Centauri meteor stream, which is active in the southern hemisphere. I can't quite see that personally, but I suppose it's possible. Anything's possible, It's a funny old game.
We should perhaps mention that the particular area where it exploded in the Chelyabinsk region is 930 miles east of Moscow. So it was quite close to Moscow, and it was also very close to the atomic waste storages at Mayak. So, you could think that the dangerous thing, if it'd been much closer, much further down, or much bigger, the nuclear consequences of what would have happened if that had happened over the where they store their nuclear waste.
Mm. Well, not only that, our Russian friends are at best paranoid about things hitting them like that.
Oh, there's your visa gone, Nick.
I wouldn't get one anyway, Richie. Seriously, mate, they wouldn't give me one if I tried. I'm sure of it. I like to think of a few people that might be ringing me up saying, "Oi, you're not going, sunshine." But no, as I say, the Russians are paranoid about it. They always have been. Given the fact that they have been attacked, the Second World War is a classic example, and I hate to say that does tend to colour Russian thinking. It has to be somebody trying to attack them, and I don't really blame them for that. The Japanese have had a go at them. The Germans have had a go at them. Can you blame paranoia on this level? No.
Well, yeah, I mean, but I just think it was, it was an incredible thing to happen. It was an incredible coincidence that it happened several hours before 2012 DA-14 went through. I mean, the chances, of course, are well. I mean, it's just pure coincidence, isn't it? It's.
I think the thing is, Richie, we're in a time now where we have access to all this information. We are getting used to the idea that there are big chunks of nickel, iron, and rock out there that come very close to us. We've seen what happens when a very big one comes too close and actually collides with us, and it's more a newsworthy item. Let's face it. Every newspaper had stories about DA-14. Show me a newspaper that didn't. I bet they even had stories about it in North Korea. But as I say, it's mass media today. You can pull this information off the internet. NASA is open about it. The European Space Agency, I guess Roscos would be open about this information. If you want it, it's out there. You just got to type in near Earth object, and it's all there. So can't cover it up anymore.
One thing that is a sobering thought is that it hit at the same latitude as Manchester. So give or take a few hours, that could have been decimating Manchester.
It could have. They actually published a track of where it could have come down over, and when you figure that's most of the middle latitude of the Earth was covered from Manchester, well, even from Scotland all the way down into the southern hemisphere, were all potential targets. It was just luck of the draw. It was over Russia at that particular moment in time and space.
But you could imagine if that had been, of course, the 1908 situation of Tunguska, that would have been a lot more serious.
Yes, that was bad enough. It was, several kilotons equivalent of nuclear explosives. It would have been deadly if it had come over a really populated area. I think the only thing that really saved us with Tunguska was the fact it was 1908. It was a very sparsely populated area in Siberia, and I don't think we'll ever know exactly what the casualty list was for that event anyway. I don't think anybody even has it.
I don't think there was. There's hardly any.
Well, what's
all.
interesting is that the Tunguska event is reported as being to be between 10 and 15 million tons of TNT equivalent.
As I say,
So significantly larger than the one that came down in Russia the other day.
and they think that was actually a comet that caused that one going up, finishing its life in the atmosphere. To be honest, we should be grateful that we have planets like Jupiter, because what Jupiter takes away from us, Jupiter occasionally gives back too, but most of the time it's a beautiful spectacle in the sky that Jupiter will give us in the form of a short period comet. And talking of DH14, did you know that they think there's been possible seismic activity on it? I put a couple of links into chat. NASA believes there may have been asteroid quakes during this pass of the asteroid, and they've actually also released a YouTube video. Go have a look at it. It's very interesting stuff.
What, U2 with Bono?
No, not U2 with Bono. U2.com. There is actually a video.
Oh, YouTube.
Yes. Oh yeah, I can just see Bono causing an asteroid quake. Yeah, come on. You do realise that's now kind of killed off any chance of getting him to support astronomy.
Well, Brian May supports it, so do we need Bono anyway?
Yeah,
but I mean,
Brian May's much better. Go on, Richie.
NASA also said that a close flyby of an asteroid the size of DA14 flies by every 40 years or so, and you get an impact every 1,200 years on average. So, I mean, all of that means absolutely nothing because it could happen tomorrow anyway.
Well, yeah, they're tracking 9,500 objects already, and it's going up on a regular basis. You've got SpaceGuard UK and over here that's tracking these objects. You've got NeoShield, and you've got the worldwide effort that's being looked after by NASA and the European Space Agency. The list is growing as we get better at astronomy and astro imaging and astro tracking. We're finding more and more. And maybe one of these days we will find the one that says, I am going to hit the Earth. But then again, hopefully somebody will have got that act together in various places like Washington, London, Berlin, Moscow, and says, we are going to sit down together to help the heck with the politics. We will fix it. We can't depend on Bruce Willis to do this with a space shuttle because we ain't got space shuttles.
Just interestingly enough, though, the 2012 DA14 is estimated to have a diameter of about 50 meters or 160 feet, and then a mass of 190,000 tons. So it's significantly larger than the meteor coming down in Russia.
Thankfully, it's also through the Clark Belt and didn't do any major damage. I think we got lucky there too.
Yes.
I think what also you have to think about is all the hoo-ha in the media not so long ago about asteroid Apophis in 2029 and its return in 2036. And there's conjecture whether it will do anything in 2036. We just don't know. We know that, or potentially, it's going to come very close, but not hit Earth in 2029.
The good thing is our ability to predict these objects, to actually work out their orbits, and they're very better. We can simulate their trajectories now very accurately. It's improving on a regular basis, and it means NASA can sit there and say, Apophis, not going to hit. DA14, not going to hit. Yes, it's going to come close, but hey, we might get a very spectacular show if it hits the moon. No, seriously, the moon is being hit on a regular basis. Some amateur astronomers are recording lunar strikes on a regular basis. They're on, and if you go to the NASA website, you can see some of the work they're doing. It is a project you can do with your telescope, believe it or not. Get involved, have a bit of fun, and you're actually contributing to NASA's knowledge of how regular debris hits the moon. And if we want to go back to the moon, folks, we do need to know this.
Yes, that's very true. That's very true. One interesting thing, though, I mean, of course, it was advertised on all the news programs that this thing was going to pass in between us and the geostationary satellites that are out there in orbit, and of course it did. But how close did it actually get to any of our spacecraft? Do you wonder?
From what I hear, it got right inside the Clark belt. And if you look at a picture of a artist's impression of the Clark belt, you will see it is packed, not only with active satellites, but old rocket boosters, defunct satellites, the odd satellite that's been deliberately used as a test bed for the latest anti-satellite missile. It's full of junk. You've got tool bags, spacesuits, nuts and bolts, wrenches, all floating around there. Something's going to hit something. And boy, are we going to know about it when it does. Do you remember the furore when the Chinese did it deliberately?
Yes, I do. I mean, that was pretty insane, though.
Yeah, just to prove that they could do it. The Americans, quite reasonably, when they had a satellite that was potentially going to dump a load of toxic fuel over built-up areas, said, okay, we're going to use one of our Aegis vessels. We're going to take the sucker out before it can do any damage. That was understandable, and they actually let it get it almost into the atmosphere before they actually tagged it and destroyed it, so that everything pretty much re-entered and burnt up. That is understandable, that is justifiable, but blowing a satellite up just to show you can do it, all you're going to do is you're going to send a whole load of shrapnel into the Clark belt, and for all you know, you could actually take your own satellites out with that. That's dumb.
Yeah, but you've also got the danger there, of course. The ISS, anything that flies into an astronaut, cosmonaut, whatever. If they're outside of the ISS, just a small fragment is enough to kill them.
Yeah, and the regularity that the ISS has been moving itself up and down in orbit has been increasing. Everybody hope it's going to. Oh, I hope they're going to do it, and it's doing a very bright pass over my home because I'll get a really good picture. But it's a nuisance because then they've got to replenish the propellants on board, and that's dangerous stuff. Doing it on Earth, it is really, really dodgy doing it in space when you're encumbered with a spacesuit. Spacesuit gauntlets are not designed for fine work. NASA proved it when they were trying to fix the Hubble. They had so many problems in the simulation tank, never mind doing it for real. It really, really is not something you want just to start messing around with in a spacesuit. Apart from that stuff gets on your suit. They have never really tested what happens to a spacesuit when it gets hit by propellant designed for rockets engines. I don't want to be the guy that gets to find out. Do you?
No, absolutely. And don't forget, you can also join us at the moment in our chat room. If you come along to astronomy.fm and hit the radio chat room button at the top, then you can come and join us and ask questions and interact with us whilst we're live on air.
Yep, and please do, because it's really fun to have you there. We like to have you participating in the shows.
Talking about participating in the shows, Mr. Nick, that Chinese rocket, somebody called Trutiness in the chat room says that the Chinese rocket test spewed debris to the Clark belt.
He's also telling me there's no spacesuits and tool bags. But
yeah, he is actually right, because the only tool bag that was lost by a woman, and it burnt up.
But there's still a spacesuit floating around. There's wrenches. There's nuts and bolts.
Why would there be a spacesuit? Who's gonna get out of their spacesuit?
Believe it or not, to act as a beacon, they fitted a spacesuit with a 2-meter handheld transceiver, and they booted it out the airlock. And I think it ran for several months.
But the Clark belt is the geostationary orbit, which is 35,000 odd kilometers out, isn't it?
But they did the satellite they've been taking out satellites, and I may be wrong, and if I am, I freely admit it.
Yeah, but I think he's right there. The ones they took out were in low Earth orbit. They weren't in geostationary orbit.
Well, as I say, if I got my facts wrong, I got my facts wrong, and I do apologise. See, I'm quite capable of making mistakes, and I frequently do.
Oh, we all do. We all do. It's half the fun of it, isn't it?
Yep.
So, truthiness, if you could tell us, yes. Come on then, tell us what we should be saying. Right, so did anybody see DA14? Do you know what? I had the most disappointing evening. I was sat there watching the weather all day, and all day everybody was saying, it's going to clear, it's going to clear, it's going to clear. What happened? We had cloud until about 1 o'clock in the morning, and then it cleared. How annoying was that?
I was up at RAF Kenley with a group of people, and it was just cloudy all the time. We just sort of went back in and sort of gave up.
Yeah, I had cloud here. I live in the countryside. Surprise, surprise. But I did see a little bit of it online. Virtual telescope was actually showing it in all its glory.
Yes, I was watching the NASA feed with the Spanish observatory.
But
it was just tracking it, and it was so frustrating because there were holds in the clouds. So basically, what I did is I set the telescope up and just kept moving the scope to up to the current location of DA14 and take a few exposures and see if I could get anything. I think I took about 300 exposures throughout the night. Not one of them has actually got anything useful in it.
Well, as I say, I was watching it on the net. I suppose I could have taken pictures, but I couldn't be bothered. I know a lot of robotic telescopes were doing it as well. So it was fairly well covered. You had quite a few choices as to whose feed you could see to watch it.
That's what we saw. We just used a robotic telescope we linked up to and watched it from there.
Quite frustrating though. Typical English weather. Any road. So what else have we got? Oh yes, we mustn't forget as well, on the 4th of March, it would have been Sir Patrick Moore's 90th birthday, so it's worth remembering Sir Patrick and what he meant to you on that day as well.
I always remember him for being a really fun person to talk to on the train, and who had a very apt way of winding people up if he really wanted to try. I guess it would be the sight of a pipe hanging in his mouth as he discusses the moon. That's one of my fondest memories.
I think I quite agree with you. It's one of my fond memories. I met Patrick on a few occasions. I know Richie, you've met him on quite a few occasions. And he's plain talking, and he's the way he brings it over to the common person. He does it in a great way so that people can understand. I mean, that's what I remember best about him.
I'll tell you one person.
His Sky at Night episode, the last episode he was on, attracted 2.11 million viewers. So, and it's good to see that the show's continuing after his death as well.
Yes, long may it last.
You know, one person I really do miss, apart from Patrick, and that's Commander Henry Hatfield. And everybody goes quiet because nobody remembers him. He did the first Lunar Photographic Atlas, first serious one for amateur astronomers, and him and Patrick got on like a house on fire. One of them would make a comment and the other would rebut it. And it made for very interesting meetings at the British Astronomical Association, I will be the first to admit.
Okay, so also around the 12th of February was Darwin Day. Oh, now I was asking Paul about this earlier, but you were saying this is a year-long celebration, but centred on the 12th of February, I believe.
That's right, and it is International Darwin Day. The link that we're going to post in a minute, it links into the International Darwin Day Foundation. It's basically celebrating science in general, not only what Charles Darwin did, although what he did was extraordinary in his field of science, because obviously his son was also an astronomer, and there's a talk on the Royal Astronomical Society named after him called the Darwin Lecture. It's every November. It is an international event, and it also coincides. He was born on February the 12th, 1809, and also on the same day, same year, President Abraham Lincoln was born as well.
Yep.
2 great men on one day.
I have put the link in the chat room for us, Paul. That explains the beards. Beards were common in those days. It was cold.
Indeed.
Touring Britain.
And loads of events were going on.
Stuffed then. No way I can ever grow a beard.
Try it, Richie's.
Unfortunately, I actually only live about 8 miles from his house, and I've camped nearby, and it's quite a fascinating place to look at. And also, you can go into there. It's part of English Heritage, owned by English Heritage.
Right. Nick, you were going to give us some information about or your comic roundup, or Nick's Tricky Tales, should we call it?
The Nick's Tricky Tales, oh boy. Yes, it's supposed to be a good year for comic this year. We're expecting Comic Pan-Stars to really put on a display. Now, the problem is it appears to be fading. But I have been reading a blog from a remote observatory run out of Argentina, and they're expecting it to possibly come to Mag 3 or 4. I'm going to put the links into the chat room. So it may be slightly, it won't be the thing we were all hoping. I know it'd been nice to have another naked eye comet, but I don't think we're going to get it. Not from Pan-Stars. ISON, now that has now been caught on film by NASA, by the Deep Impact spacecraft, and I'm going to put that information into the chat room. So that is also going to be worth looking for. I've actually been imaging it myself via a robotic telescope, and it's a small nucleus with a slight tail at the moment, but it's still far out, and it's coming in. We have hopes. So also I'm going to put this another link in, hopefully it's going to work, from the Armagh Planetarium. It may not work. If it doesn't, I do apologise. Let's try it. Nope, it's not working. I will find it for the show notes, though, again. And, of course, we do have some other comets in our skies. Well worth observing. Pan-Stars is actually showing as being a magnitude 5 comet. Best looked at between either dusk or early in the mornings. Comet Lemon, 2012 F6 is 5.5. It's bright. It's observable from 5 degrees south to 60 degrees south. It's an all-night object. 273P Pons Gambart is steady at magnitude 10. It's thought to be fading at the moment. Again, 55 degrees north to 30 degrees south. It's a morning object. It is worth getting up for. Okay, we also have Linear 2011 F1. It's thought to be around magnitude 10. It's holding steady, 25 degrees south to 60 south. It's a dawn object. So there are quite a few. Oh, Bressie, 2012 T5 Bressie, magnitude 10.5, bright, 30 degrees north to 60 south. The elongation is a bit poor for us at the moment. We have hopes. And as I say, everything else, McNaught 2011 R1, Linear 2012 A2, McNaught Russell 262P, mostly magnitude 12 and beyond and beginning to fade. The only one that might be worth attempting at magnitude 13 is 29P Schwashman Whackman, and you can pronounce it how you like because that's the best stab I'm going to make at it. But ISON, currently magnitude 14. It is bright, 85 degrees north to 25 degrees south, best in the evening. And the last really good visual observation for that was in January of this year. So get out there. I'm going to put the link in to one of my favourite places to get comet information from the British Astronomical Association and the Society for Popular Astronomy, their comet section. Go have a look, see what you're interested in, and go for it. That's what I suggest. And there'll possibly be more comets next month.
I was just going to say that I shall be looking out for Comet Pan-Stars next month when we're doing a Messier Marathon at RAF Kenley on the 16th of March. So that's...
Are you going to have time, Paul?
Yes.
Messier Marathon?
Yeah, there's about 15 of us doing this. This is a team event.
Fair enough. Right. Thanks very much, Nick, for going through the comets this month. I mean, I hope Pan-Stars does brighten up a bit. The predictions are not good at the moment from what I've seen. So, or you know, although it does seem to be going one way or t'other. So, never mind.
Well, it would have been nice to have Comet Lovejoy come north, but we were out of luck. And I think we were quite lucky that when it did a spectacular dive into the sun and it came out the other side with such a spectacular tail, even though you had to have friends in the southern hemisphere to see it, that was such a beautiful comet, reminiscent of Hayasaki, Kale Bop. Who knows? We might get lucky, but as I say, comets are like cats. They have tails, and they do precisely with them as they like. Thank you, David Levy, for that lovely comment.
Perhaps we should mention that, Nick, you are actually a member of the BAA comment section.
Yes, I am.
Right. So now the other thing that we've been looking at this month. So Paul and I went off to AstroFest. Unfortunately we weren't able to go on the same day. You went on the Friday. I went on the Saturday. What were your impressions of it, Paul?
Well, I obviously didn't go to last year's. I went to the years before's, and I thought I was quite impressed with it this year. Obviously, I didn't go to the lectures like you did, Richie. I was just curious to wander around the many stalls, and it was nice to see Telescope House back this year.
It was indeed. They weren't. They'd swapped places with Starlight Express, but or they'd taken Starlight Express's normal pitch. But yes, it was good to see Telescope House back this year. I didn't actually go into any lectures. By the time I actually got round to buy my ticket, it was all sold out.
I know. Ian, he went both days to the lectures.
Yeah, well, he enjoys the lectures a lot, and to be honest with you, I mean, I would. It's one of those things where I wish they were almost separate events, so that you could spend some time looking around at all the new kit and also go to the lectures. But it seems to be a bit of an either-or thing, I reckon.
Absolutely. Obviously, I was more interested in the educational side, but I was also looking at various things. One of the things I quite enjoyed, although I'm not a person into imaging, I'm just learning out. I was quite impressed by this new Attic 49EX. Did you see that?
I didn't know. I popped around the Attic stall, but I didn't actually have a look at the cameras, unfortunately.
I thought I was quite impressed by that. I'm going to say not an expert, but it's the way they mount it onto the telescope. It's quite a novel way, really. Mounting it on the front. Now, actually, I have actually took a load of.
Oh, is that the barrel cam that they've?
That's it. Yes.
Yes. That was the one that they brought in when they realised that they needed to make them a bit smaller and narrower, so that they could be that they would be Hyperstar compatible.
That's right. Yes, I mean it's quite an interesting fitting actually. It's ideal for small telescopes, and maybe once I'm allowed to spend a little bit more from the other half, I shall.
Well, funny enough, Paul, I mean something like that would do very good with like a little 6-inch SCT. Take the secondary off, put the camera in place, and you've got a wide field fast camera.
Absolutely.
Schmidt camera.
But I mean, I came away with a whole bag full of things. I mean, I just literally was inundated with leaflets about telescopes and cameras, and obviously about the educational side of things. And as obviously we have various interviews later. One of them was from the Society of Popular Astronomy, who I shall mention now, and it's their 60th anniversary, and we'll hear a little bit about that from Mandy Bailey. And they were selling quite a few things there, and a few historic things coming up on the SPA this year, which she will tell you about. If you want to do a course, Open University Central Lancashire had their stands there, and they were sort of showing a lot of their courses. I don't know if you obviously looked at those particular items, but I was also impressed by the Astronomia stand, and that they had quite a good selection of telescopes and binoculars.
Yes, there was a lot of hardware on display as usual. To be honest, I mean this year I was a little flitting about a bit and just talking to people, and I had a good chat with Ian Morrison when he was on the SPA stand. So he's been doing a lot of work with them. But as you said, we'll hear from Mandy later on. Had a good chat with Nick Shimonik as well. He was over at the Ian King imaging stand. Doing a roaring trade, so it's looking good for astronomical kit in the UK at the moment, I think.
I certainly think so, and the fact that it was a good selection, and of course, if you go to one of these events, you can get telescopes at a discounted value, or some goods, telescope accessories for a lot less than you would normally buy in the shop. So it's a good idea to go to these sort of events. It only cost £6 to go in. When we went, unless you go into the lectures, of course, it was free otherwise, to look around.
Yeah, so I had a good look at the Starlight Express stand as per usual. So they had their Oculus camera on show, their all sky camera that they've got, which I do like the look of. It's basically just a 360-degree fisheye lens on there under a dome with a heater on the bottom of it, and then they've got some very clever software in there, which builds the entire thing into an AVI, into a movie at the end of the night, which is rather good.
It's one thing I was a little impressed of it, and this actually was on the Astronomy Now stand. Greg Rubbs, my Rumsby, was showing off, and I know we're doing another app later, but he was showing off the Astronomy Now app for the iPhone and iTouch, and I was quite impressed by the interaction on it. He was showing, and we got a picture of him there. I didn't interview him, but that's an interesting thing on Astronomy Now magazine. It's a different alternative. Unfortunately, you can't use it on the iPad. This new app, you can only use the PDF version, but it's an Interact version. So if you've got an iPhone or iTouch,
no, it works on the iPad.
Oh right, are you telling me? Well, it didn't.
No, it does work on the iPad, but the what annoyed me, it doesn't work on Android.
No, this is something they plan to introduce sometime in the near future. But yes, a little bit disappointing there.
But
I think it was something to do with the licensing.
Apparently, yeah, I don't think they quite know what it is. But I had a good chat with Dr. Stuart Clark, our friend Dr. Stuart. He said he's going to come back on the show again soon, so look forward to that. And picked up a copy of his latest book, which we'll be reviewing next month, because I haven't had a chance to read it yet.
That's something I've got too. It's a good book.
It's yes. And so yeah, I'm just trying to think what else. Yeah, so the Starlight Express so they've got the 694, and they've also one of their cameras. They've gone back over to a Sony chip, and they've gone for a higher resolution chip as well this year. So they're going from strength to strength. I saw David Nagler was on the widescreen centre stand again, which was nice to see. Celestron made a good appearance. Mead were going as well. So it was great to see all these manufacturers out in force.
Yes, the other one I was quite like was the AstroTac one. They had a little bit more of a display this year than compared to 2 years ago. And they had their own room, almost their own room. It was quite interesting.
You did a few interviews for us, Paul, so we're going to go over to those now.
Okay. Hello, I'm at AstroFest for Under British Skies. I'm currently at the SPA stand, and we're interviewing Mandy Bailey today. Mandy, nice to meet you.
And you, good to see you again, Paul.
And it's a very poignant year this year for the SPA.
It is. It's our Diamond Jubilee. We've been in 60 years. 60 years, yeah. We were formed in 1953 by Eric Turner, Ernest Noon and Sir Patrick Moore. It was the idea that we would be called the Junior Astronomical Society. They realised that the BAA was in existence, but there was a call for a society that dealt for people, that was there for people who were new to astronomy or perhaps didn't have as much experience. So it was for the novice. Although it was called then the Junior Astronomical Society, it wasn't junior as in age, it was junior as in experience, really, is what the idea was. And that name eventually started to hold us back a little bit, because as in 1953, calling junior for beginner novice was fine. As the years went on, that sort of became, a bit of a joke. So it changed in 1992 to the Society of Popular Astronomy. But it's the same aims, that we're there to sort of provide in not too technical terms, a bit jargon busting, and there to inspire people.
It's also one of the largest societies in the country, isn't it?
It is, yes, we are. It is. We've got somewhere in the region of about 2,500 members, I think, at the moment.
That's quite a lot.
Yeah.
What's the normal membership fee?
The normal membership fee for us is £18 a year at the moment, but for that you get a lovely glossy magazine 6 times a year, which includes a lot of articles on telescope topics or on imaging, some reports from our sections, because we have the lunar section, deep sky, solar, planetary. So if you were wanting to know a bit more about how to observe things like that, our section directors can actually give you some guidance on that.
And those sections are quite important.
Oh, they are,
They're quite
yeah.
active.
They are very active, and so there's reports every in our magazine. So if you were observing something and you put something into a section director, you could actually end up in our magazine with your observations.
I would encourage anyone to really join you.
Oh,
really.
yeah.
It's a national society.
Well, we have our meetings in London 4 times a year on a Saturday. They start at 2:00. So although that could be a way to get to us for some people, we do film our meetings, so they are available online a few days later, so everybody can have a look at those. This year, because it is our Diamond Jubilee, we are not just staying in London, we're going out and about. So in May we're going up to Preston, we're having a day of events up in Preston, we're having a day up in Edinburgh. In June, in September we're doing the same thing over in Belfast. We're going to Cambridge in October. Now that's every 2 years we have a convention in Cambridge, and this Diamond Jubilee year happens to be our biennial Cambridge year anyway, and Sir Martin Rees is going to be giving the main talk there, so we've got that.
I look forward to seeing.
Yeah, I mean, because I will stress, these events are free for people to come to, whether you're a member of us or not. We do actually put these on for free, and we're also going to Cardiff in December. We're also hoping at some of the other events, we haven't got this finalised yet, but we're hoping to have Sir Arnold Wolfendale, who was the past Astronomer Royal, and also John Brown, the Astronomer Royal for Scotland. So we're hoping that we can have the 3 Astronomer Royals at our events this year.
That's quite unique,
yeah,
I must admit.
So we're hoping that will come along.
But of course, on the stand today, you've got various things for sale.
Yeah,
postcards.
We've got postcards, we've got some lovely astronomical jewellery. Again, these can be seen online on our shop, so people can buy these from us online as well. But yeah, I mean, if anybody's wants to have a look at what we do on our website, popastro.com. And all the details of the meetings that we've got coming up will be on there. So, I mean, it's watch this space, popastro.com, really, for all the information. The next meeting, I will say, in London in April, the 26th of April, I think that's the Saturday. That will be by Tim O'Brien from Jodrell Bank, and he's doing 60 years of radio astronomy, because a lot of our talks this year are 60-year themed. So that will be the history of radio astronomy and what's coming up now.
That sounds very interesting. I'm quite interested in radio astronomy.
Yeah, it should be a good one. Yeah, it should be a good one.
Know about
yeah, with the SKA at the moment and Jodrell Bank being the main place for that. Yeah. So the new array.
Okay, Mandy, thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome. Yeah, thanks very much. Okay, bye.
The AstroTrack stand, and I'm talking to Richard Taylor about the AstroTrack system. Richard, could you tell me a little bit about the AstroTrack system?
Sure. The AstroTrack is a very easy to use, very portable, very accurate tracking mount. It's an equatorial mount for, ideally, I suppose, DSLR cameras, but you can use CCDs with it as well. You can start out by using just standard tripod, gear head and ball head, and that will get you up and running, taking great photos. Key thing for starting out in astrophotography is you need something that provides very accurate tracking, which the AstroTrack does. And then as you progress, it can carry a lot more weight. So we've got our pier and wedge, which provides a much more solid support underneath the AstroTrack and allows you to carry more weight on top of the AstroTrack. So then you can easily support a 3 to 4 inch refractor. And as you put more weight on and more focal length, then your requirement for polar alignment becomes more critical. So it also has an auto-guiding port for RA auto-guiding. So there's a whole load of options. Sometimes people just start with the AstroTrack and the polar scope.
It's extremely portable.
It's extremely portable. It weighs a kilo. So you can slip it in your bag.
Easy to take on a plane.
Yeah, and it'll run with 8 AA batteries for several hours if it's not too cold. So, yeah, thousands of people literally around the world own AstroTracks and have a lot of fun with them.
How long has AstroTrack been around?
We started, my first AstroFest was 2007.
Actually, I think I remember that quite well, because actually I do remember speaking to you
2007.
when you were showing it off at the door.
Seems a long time ago in one way,
A long time ago. Okay, thanks very much.
My pleasure.
Hello, I'm at the Liverpool John Moores University stand, and I'm now speaking to David Hyder of the Liverpool John Moores University. Hello.
Hello, pleased to meet you.
What sort of courses do you run at the university?
We run a variety of distance learning courses designed for people with an interest in astronomy. These range from science with a small telescope, basically what science can you do with your own telescope in your back garden. So how would you measure variable star-like curves, heights of mountains on the moon, and the mass of Jupiter by looking at the moons. We also have more theoretical courses such as galaxies and modern cosmology. And we also do a course based with the Liverpool telescope, which is the world's largest robotic one. And basically students on this course can learn how to produce an observational proposal and submit them to the telescope.
And whereabouts is the a particular observatory based?
That's sited on La Palma in the Canary Islands.
So it gets really quite on the Rock de Muchachos, if I remember rightly. And a little bit about the history of...
Well, we've been running the courses since 1998 now, and we've got a suite of 12 different courses. So they cover all aspects of astronomy, planetary sciences, cosmology, gamma-ray bursts and exoplanets.
Well, David, thank you very much.
It's a pleasure. Thank you.
I'm at the University of the Central Lancashire stand, and I'll be talking to Barbara Hassel of the University of Central Lancashire, and she's going to tell us a little about the history and what they do and the sort of courses they do. Barbara.
Hello, I'm Barbara Hassel. I'm the course leader for our distance learning courses. The University of Central Lancashire has been running these now since 1996. They're part-time courses, and we originally came up with them because we had been running a part-time course on campus primarily for school teachers who came in from the local schools and came into our laboratories and studied alongside our on-campus students. But they found it really difficult to keep up the weekly attendance. And so we created what's now our introductory module, Introduction to Astronomy, as a university certificate, which meant these same people could study at home and online rather than attending the course. And it was so popular even in its first year that we got over 100 subscribers, and since then we've built up our suite of courses so that we now have a full BSc degree, and we had our first graduates from that about 3 years ago. But our typical starter student would do our Introduction to Astronomy course, requires minimal level of maths, approximately what we call high school maths, GCSE. It doesn't assume A-level physics and maths, for example, unlike an on-campus degree would. And we teach mainly astronomy, but physics and maths as that people need it as they go along. The materials are provided online. The assessments are submitted online. Most modules have no timed assessments. You do it in your own time according to a course schedule and then submit it. We have modules this year, for example, we're running the astronomy, the cosmology and sun, earth and climate modules, which are what we call entry-level modules. You don't have to have had any prior study for. And if you succeed with those, you might want to go on to get a full 6 modules at first year level to get a Cert HE, and then enrol in our BSc, which has a full 18 modules at at various levels.
And the website?
Yes, on the website it's www.studyastronomy.com, and this has information about all courses that are running this coming year, and also the details of the syllabuses, the fact sheets, the costs, etc. for all of our modules, and a look ahead to which modules we're going to be running in which years in the foreseeable future.
Brilliant. Thank you very much.
Welcome back, and thanks very much to Paul Harper there for getting those interviews for us. Right, so now we've got App Corner. So this month we've been looking at Planet Droid. As most of you know, I prefer the Android devices. Paul, you've been looking at this as well, I believe.
Yes, I downloaded this evening, and it's quite fascinating. It's known sooner as I downloaded it and loaded it up. It knew. I mean, I had I did have the GPS off, but I had the thing where you can tell Jeep where you are. It logs straight into my area, and I'm looking at all the planets around, and when the moon, sunrise. I can load up an asteroid or comet database. I mean, it's a marvelous little free app. Gives the bright ascension, all that. I mean, it's brilliant.
I mean, the advantage of it is, I mean, basically, if you want to know what's when something is coming up, like, for example, just looking at Saturn now, you just click on Saturn, it knows what date it is, and it gives you a little graph display showing you when the sun is up and down, basically when it's dark and when it's light, and a little red line telling you where it is. And it gives you information about where you can see it in the sky, what phase it is, and all that sort of thing. So it's just a useful little reference to be able to that you can pick a day and say, right, what's up at the moment, or, you know, let's have a look. And I mean, I just loaded, you know, it's really simple just to load up Comet ISON, for example, and I can see exactly where it's going to be now. Obviously, it's going to be a bit dim at the moment. They reckon about 15.4 AU on this app at the moment. But very much, very worthwhile. Good little app. And if you've got any suggestions for apps that you want us to have a look at, then please let us know at ubs@astronomy.fm. Anything else to say on that, Paul?
No. It's well worth anyone downloading if you've got an Android. I'm not too sure if it's on the iPhone, but if it is, it's well worth a download.
Definitely. And Nick's going to be getting himself an Android phone soon, aren't you, mate?
Well, I've already got an Android phone, but it's not. The flash memory isn't big enough, so I'm only limited in the number of apps I can run. And I have some good stuff. I have 2 Sun ones that give me full solar weather information, and I have Google Sky on it. But I've got to take some stuff out to get Planet Droid on, so it's something I'm looking at, most definitely.
Need to get yourself an upgrade, mate.
I think that's probably in the pipeline.
Glad I got one this year myself.
Right, now the book of the month this month. So as some of you may know, our good friend Mark Thompson has been on from the BBC, has been on the One Show and also on Stargazing Live. For those of you who are not aware, he's basically he's a very, very well-read or well-versed amateur astronomer. And he's produced a book, A Down-to-Earth Guide to the Cosmos. And he asked me to take a look at it. And basically, this book is absolutely brilliant if you're starting out in astronomy. It gives you lots of useful information, like how to estimate angles in the sky using your hands and that sort of thing. And it also goes through each month and gives you a little roundup of what you can see in the northern and southern hemispheres. This book it's very in depth. It's about 300 pages long almost, and gives you a very, very good grounding in the world of astronomy, in the world of amateur astronomy. Something that if you've got somebody who's getting into astronomy for the first time, this is the ideal sort of book. It's bang up to date. It was only released this month, so well worth a look. Now, I know you guys haven't had a chance to have a look at this book yet, but it's one of those things where if you got, if you were first starting out in this hobby, this is exactly the sort of book that you would want to have in your hands, I think. So thank you very much, Mark, for sending that over. Paul, you were going to say?
I think I'm certainly going to have a look at Amazon and get that book. It's probably a very good one for putting in our library at the society, so that new members can take it out. So I think it's a good book for that sort of thing, and for new astronomers.
Mm. So the way that the book is laid out is it's set into 12 different chapters. So with each chapter, there's a little preamble about 10 pages long, giving you some information about astronomy. So, for example, he starts off with the changing view of the night sky and explains about why the sky is going to change from month to month and night to night. Then in the second chapter goes on to how you navigate around the night sky. So how do we view a constellation? How do we work hop from star to star? The sort of things that a beginner's going to need to know. Moves on to equipment. He does recommend binoculars, so a little bit. He does recommend starting out with binoculars, which I know is Patrick's line, and it's. Oh, excuse me. It's something which I don't think is quite so applicable. But I mean, he is right that a £50 pair of binoculars will serve you a lifetime in astronomy, as I'm sure you'd agree, Paul.
Oh yes, absolutely. I've still got the ones I had 30 years ago, and they still function just as well as the other ones I've bought. A good 7x50s or 10x50s, go for them. Brilliant way of doing basic astronomy. Good way to start as well.
Yeah, but I mean, it really is a fascinating book. It gives you an introduction, gives you a bit of history about astronomy, how the science has developed over the years. From the days of astrology and then into astronomy itself, and all the way up to the evolution of the universe and end of the world scenarios. How long have we got, sort of thing. So, really well worth a read. And if you want, each chapter then has that month's, both in the northern and southern hemisphere, that month's objects that you're going to be able to see that they're going to be static. So, well worth it. Right. So that is almost the end of the show. Nick, is there anything else you want to add in?
Apart from never ever look at the sun with binoculars or a telescope. If you're going to do that, project the image, don't look direct. Blindness is not curable.
Very good point. Very good point. Paul?
I totally agree with that. And I can only say happy birthday, UBS. 3 years. Hopefully another year to go.
Well, yeah, so we're back on air now, so if you come and join us every month, then we will hopefully entertain you. So I guess it's that point where oh, sorry. Nick, anything else to add?
I think all I can really say is go join your local astronomical society, because that is, if you want to learn about astronomy, that's the place to start.
Yes.
Or failing that, the SPA or BAA.
Well, I mean, this is one of the things that we should mention on this is should we, there are so many societies out there that you can join up with, and it gets rather expensive after a while. But yes.
I suppose it's depending what you want from your society. The British Astronomical Association has a brilliant journal every 2 months. It's packed full of cracking good articles by top amateur astronomers, and you'll see some really good stuff from the likes of Paul Abel too.
All right, well, with that, we're playing the theme music now, so it's time for us to say goodbye. So it's I'll say goodbye from me.
And it's goodbye from him.
And it's goodbye from me.
Good night, all.
Good night.
listening to Under British Skies with Richie Jarvis, Nick Howes, Ian Melville, Paul Harper, Nick Evitts, Sam Hawkins and Jenny Winder. The show is engineered by Michael Forster and produced by the team. Under British Skies is broadcast live on astronomy.fm radio on the third Sunday of each month at 8 p.m. GMT. You can contact the team on Twitter at Under British Sky or email us at ubs@astronomy.fm. See you next month.
We hope that you've enjoyed this program from AFM Radio, the broadcast service of astronomy.fm. This program has been released under Creative Commons license. Please contact us for details. You may find more of our AFM original programs on our website. It's really easy to find us. We are astronomy.fm. You may also find us in the iTunes radio listings near the top of the News Talk section, and also as an iTunes podcast selection. We'd love to hear your comments. Please email us at radio@astronomy.fm. Thanks so much for being part of the voice of astronomy around the world and across the known universe. This is astronomy.fm radio.
AFM.